In this tutorial we will use B4XCanvas to make drawings. B4XCanvas is part of the XUI library that I've talked about in the previous lesson. Let's start with going over the main steps that are required when working with B4XCanvas. It is recommended to create a dedicated panel or pane that will be used for the drawings. There shouldn't be any other views inside this panel. You can put views above it, but not inside. First we initialize a B4XCanvas, then we make the drawings, and we call invalidate to commit the drawings. If we won't call invalidate, then the drawings will not appear in B4A and B4I. If the panel is resized, we need to call the resize method to resize the canvas as well, mainly relevant for B4J and B4I, where the layout can be resized. When we are done with the canvas, we should call release to release its native resources. I will start with a simple example. As in the previous tutorial, we will implement the code in a class. This will allow us to share it between the projects. Standard class. Always add the XUI object, and we will pass the parent to the initialize method. I'm creating a layout file with a single pane. We will later set its anchors. I'm now starting with a non-resizable panel. Change its type to B4X view. This is the canvas object. Should be B4XCanvas. Let's draw a circle. As you can see, there are all kinds of drawing methods. I'm using the XUI color constants. I can also put directly an int value. Let's see, for example, I can use not the icon picker, the color picker, and take this value and put it directly over here. This is a hex number, which is an int. I'm creating a filled circle, and the stroke width doesn't really matter because it's a filled, because the circle is filled. And we need to call invalidate when we are done drawing. Let's try it. And we have a purple circle. I'm adding a bitmap. We will use B4XCanvas with a timer to create a moving smiley. Let's start with the smiley speed. The timer. Every 30 milliseconds. The tick event. Smiley bitmap. B4X bitmap. XUI load bitmap. Load bitmap resize should be the default method that you use to load images. Let's add a constant for the size, a variable for the size. I'm adding two variables for the current position. I'll actually use a rect object for this. B4XRect, it's a type that represents a rectangle. We'll start from the top left, so the right and bottom will be the size itself. On each cycle, we first erase the previous smiley. Clear rect. We can do it like this. Target rect. This is the canvas rectangle. Move the smiley. And canvas draw bitmap, smiley, and let's try it. Not very good. The problem is here, it should have been bottom, because we want first we change the left and like this. First we set the new left and top fields, and then the right and bottom are based on the left and top fields. Okay, this looks better. We need to check whether the smiley reached one of the edges, and if so, change the speed to move it back inside. So if the right edge of the smiley is larger than the canvas right edge, then we change the speed. It's actually safer to do it like this. So we know that in this case the speed will always be negative, even if for some reason it happened twice that the smiley was out of bounds. That's for the horizontal speed, and it's very similar code. Let's try it. It's quite boring because first it's very slow, and the panel is a square and it started from the top left corner. Let's change it. And decrease the timer interval. Now it's a bit more. By the way, if we comment out this line, that's it. Okay, I think we need to make the canvas resizable. I'm making it anchored and handle its resize event. In this case, all we need to do is call canvas resize with the new width and height. When you want to test performance or to see whether animations are smooth, you should always do it in release mode. I want to click on the smiley and change its direction. So back to the form. Mouse clicked. And it's smaller than right, and And we will also draw a small circle with a random color. Like this. I forgot to call invalidate over here. It works in B4J, but it wouldn't have worked in B4A and B4I. Now we need to change our code to only clear the previous smiley, otherwise it will erase, it will clear the circles that we are now drawing. So clear it like this. And if I click on the smiley itself, it changes the direction. Very fun. We can use draw bitmap rotated to rotate the smiley while it is moving. Now there are some artifacts. The way to fix it is to create another rectangle just for the clearing step. Like this. I will quickly create a B4A project with a similar implementation. And copy the module. mouse clicked event is naturally specific to B4J. We will instead handle the touch event over here, and we will do it like this. Okay. There is a warning here because it's missing deep units. It didn't work because we never initialized clearrect. Let's try it again. Okay, there are several things here. First, the canvas is not, the panel is not transparent. Note that here it's the touch event fires when the touch begins, whenever the finger moves, and when the touch ends. So it's a different behavior. If we want to implement the same behavior, it should be like this. Like this. Enough with the smileys. There is a very important method named create bitmap. It gets the drawn bitmap or a copy of the drawn bitmap. In many cases it is useful to stack multiple transparent panels and draw over each one of them. This way you can, for example, draw something and clear it without redrawing the underlying layer. Path and clip path. Clip path is very useful. You can define a path, and we will see it in a moment, and then call clip path. Drawings outside of this path will be ignored. Let's, for an example, create a sub that receives a bitmap and returns a round bitmap. I'm creating two image views, and I've added two images. Let's see how it looks like this. And we want to create a sub named create round bitmap. The input is a B4X bitmap and the output is also a B4X bitmap. The first step is to create a new canvas, and for this we need a new panel as well. So always add the XUI object, create panel. The event name can be an empty string as we are not interested in any event. We will set the size of this panel. Let's make it a square panel. It will be minimum of width and height. Like this. And we create a B4X path. We need to call initialize oval to create a round path. And the rectangle can be the canvas rectangle. Now we call clip path. We need to crop the input bitmap as it can be non-square. Let's do it like this. The destination is the whole target rect, the canvas rectangle. And it is always a good practice to remove the clip when done. Invalidate, create bitmap, release the canvas as we no longer need it, and let's try it. Let's switch to debug mode so we can see the error line. The mistake is over here. The size, if we check it with the debugger, we will see that the size is 0. Because it should have been input width and input height. Let's try it. Very nice. And with this we will finish this tutorial.